Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another deck tech. We're doing the Ironclad this time. So mono water Ironclad. Bit of a mid-range control-y deck. I'm having so much fun playing with it. It's really strong. Water at the moment is definitely defining the meta, being the strongest element in Gothic. Really good fun. Okay, let's go with our auras. So we start with Atlantean Fate, obviously, being the staple in water. Gives you a lot of solutions. You can submerge artifact like the ring, you can submerge minions as well. Really strong overall. Turns your threshold of your opponent off as well. So basically one of the best cards in water. Moving on to the artifacts, we've got the Ring of Morrigan. No need to introduce the ring at this point. Really strong, can heal, can ping, get rid of ward on your opponent minions. Really strong as well. We've got Iron Maiden, so this is a tribe. On paper, you're not supposed to lose health because it says Avatar, but Avatar don't draw cards. The player does. It also does not work with the oomph, supposedly, but I think this will need to be addressed and clarified as well. So at this stage, it only works with avatars that are nearby. So it is quite strong. You, as an Ironclad, you're not protected from the loss of life because damage and loss of life are different in Sorcery. So Ironclad protects you from strikes and magics as well, spells like, you know, magic missiles and direct damage, that sort of thing, but not from loss of life. Loss of life includes attacking sites and things like this. So moving on, we've got the Panoptic Manuscript. So it reads, bearer has taps, reveal your topmost spell and draw it. Bearer takes damage equal to that card cost. Doesn't reduce damage with your Ironclad. However, we've got Tufted Turtles here, which basically will just pop their shield when they take the damage because of the manuscript, and they can just keep on drawing cards. If you keep them safe in one of your corner of the realm, they can just keep drawing you cards for the rest of the game. Next, we've got Golden Harp. Reads, strike damage and life loss caused by nearby units is reduced to 2. So if you pair this with your avatar, with the Ironclad, it reads, basically you can't take strike damage or life loss caused by nearby units at all. Life loss by units, I can think of the Succubus here. That would bring minion closer and then deal them 2 damage. So if the harp is close, you won't get the 2 damage. I think it will still heal the opponent. And if it's nearby your avatar, you're not taking strike damage at all. So really strong synergy here as well. Same goes with the helmet. Bearer would take strike damage, prevent it, and return this helmet to hand. So you get some sort of a bubble shield as well. The fact that it goes back in your hand is relevant as well because you can keep playing it without it being dispelled. We also have an Umphalos. Umphalos is just so strong. You get to draw a card. The restriction of having minions and spell being cast by the Umphalos itself is not much of a problem. Realistically, the card advantage is just so strong that it's worth running this if you can. We also have 2 Hemogolems. So I'll read the card. Damage dealt to units by Hemogolems strikes heal you, but damage it takes is dealt to you as well. So basically you're gonna heal, but because it's a strike by the minion itself, you will get the damage reduction from the Ironclad. So if you go after smaller minions, 2-3 power, you can basically get healed every turn and then take maybe 1.2 damage, which is fine as well because it'll just offset with the healing effect. Really good synergy in the Ironclad. I haven't got to play it much because it didn't come up in games, but when it did, it really made an impact. Being a 4/4 as well is already pretty decent. 4 is a good threshold of life in Sorcery. Some of the direct damage spell are 3, so really good. Moving on, we've got one last artifact called Meat Hook. So it costs 4, exceptional weapon, and it reads, bearer as tap, shoot a projectile. If a unit is hit, drag it here, and bearer may fight when it arrives. So people that play a Pouch Butcher will definitely recognize also the art, but also the flavor. This is good. Some force movement in that deck is really good because you want to either, you know, have your minion coming out of a sticky situation, you just send the hook over there, grab them back, or you want to drag opponent minion across a site that has a special effect. I can think about the old den, here, hold Mortimer's Den. When a minion enter here, kill it, return the site to hand. So you can force your opponent minion through the realm, through some sites that have trigger effect. I really like that card. Okay, minions now. So altogether we're running 35 minions, 33 here plus the 2 emo golems. It is a little bit low, but because we've got such recursion in that deck, it's fine. It end up being fine. You always got minions in your hand, on your starting hand, and then throughout the game as well. I never really felt like I had a hand full of magic at any point of the game, so it works for now. I'll up the count if I found that at some point my minions are getting removed too often, but for now it works a charm. So let's start with the minions. First one, we've got Lucid Dreamers. 2 mana, 2 power, elite Void Walk. You may cast minions to this void, granting them Void Walk until they're no longer in the void. The point of this minion is basically acting as a pseudo summoning sphere in your opponent's side. So you just have it chilling in the corner and you can start putting minions on this side. This minion power is not really relevant. You will try to have Lucid Dreamer played into a void somewhere around your opponent's avatar, cast another minion the next turn, and then by that time you will have to think about moving that minion out of the void, because there's nothing else really you can do with the Lucid Dreamer. Being a 2 power minion is too weak, so it's basically just going to act as a summoning sphere early in the game, but it works really well. Moving on, we've got Ano. So Ano, really strong minion coming out of Gothic, 3 for 3, so 2 threshold, 3 cost, 3 power. It reads, at the end of your turn, Ano may text a step between the top and bottom edges of the realm to gain stealth. So it acts as a polar explorer of some sort, gain stealth. So basically you can move in and then attack and then get back where you came from with a stealth counter on it. So you can basically have Ano be stealthy for most of the game, if not removed by direct damage. Really strong too. Moving on to Koinixi. So Koinixi has become really popular in Gothic due to one site called Thin Ice. So here you have Thin Ice. Thin Ice reads, at the end of the turn, if minions atop this site total 5 or more power, submerge them. So the synergy with Koinixi is you lure your minion's opponent towards yourself, ideally standing on thin ice, and then if that opponent's minion is 3 or plus power, trigger the thin ice, and then it'll both submerge the Koinixi and your opponent's minion, but Koinixi has submerged, so it will survive. This is a good synergy. Sometimes Koinixi feel like it's a bit dead if you don't have the thin ice, and then the effect is not really that strong if you don't try to drag your opponent's minion wherever you want. Still, it got me out of a lot of situation, and I think it's worth running. I had 3 before, and then I cut it down to 2 because I think having more aggro minion in this deck will do more good rather than trying to have synergies that might not just happen really, even though we're running 3 thin ice site. Moving on to the Logbug Cat. So Logbug Cat is a 4 power minion for 3 and has to be cast to any water site, can be your opponent as well. So the cat He's really sticky, he's really hard in the early game to get rid of. He gets a lot of damage in, so yeah, it's really a good minion as well. Like the cat. Next up, we have Nelly Long Arms. So 3 cost, 2 threshold, and 2 power. It's a unique minion with Submerge, and it reads tap, shoot a projectile. If it hits a unit, drag it here. Nelly may submerge it. I'm sure you can start to sense a theme here. With force movement again with the minion. It can be yours, it doesn't necessarily target enemy minions. It can be yours as well if you want to, you know, get to a safe corner somehow, bring your, not sure, you know, you used your manuscript on your turtles and then you want to drag them back to safety so they can keep drawing you cards the turn after. Situations like that, Nelly is really good. And you could also, you know, like hit enemy minion and submerge it as intended. We also have the Lady of the Lake. So the Lady of the Lake is a spellcaster and has Submerge, and the Genesis effect says you may summon a mortal or artifact from your cemetery to the Lady of the Lake's location. If you do, shuffle her into her owner's spells book. So it's basically to grab back your artifacts that have been destroyed, such as the ring, the manuscript of the harp. It's a powerful effect. You can bring back your Omphalos as well if it's been destroyed somehow. Lady of the Lake didn't see much play beforehand because it was a bit too gimmicky, but with the rise of the Omphalos and also the ring being in pretty much any deck, I found that Lady of the Lake earned a spot in Modern Water deck and maybe other water deck in general. We also have 2 Tufted Turtles, so we already went through that. They have a bubble shield that prevents the first instant of damage. We have 2 Abaddon Succubus, so this is a new minion from Gothic. Elite Demon, cost 4 and 2 water threshold, has 3 power. It reads, once on your turn, you may lure target adjacent enemy minion to take a step closer. When it arrives, it takes 2 damage and you heal 2. So the damage bypasses things like lens and stuff like this, so you can still get your damage in. The fact that it's targeting adjacent minion is not too big of a restriction. It's not like the Cornixie that says nearby, so it has a better range, but Succubus is strong. You know, being able to heal you, get some damage without attacking is obviously really strong. I run 2 of those because it really helped me in a lot of matchups against water as well. You know, if your opponent plays those and you play them, and then they sort of cancel each other with the healing. Very strong. We're moving on to possibly my favorite minion in the deck at the moment. So the Assimilator Snail. It's a 4 cost minion, 2 water threshold. It has 0 power. It's elite, and it reads, once on your turn, you may banish a dead minion. Snail becomes a copy of that minion until your next turn. So it's not restricted to your graveyard, it can be your opponent graveyard as well. And this is not a minion you want to draw early in the game. Obviously, you want cemetery, either yours or your opponent, to be somewhat full. Have more options, basically. It works so good with the Green Knight. The Green Knight is already powerful by itself, but if you keep bringing it around, it becomes problematic for your opponent because you'll get rid of the smaller minion. You can play it a bit more recklessly as well, as in use it for its effect, let it die, and then bring it back with the snail later on. I really love that card. There's also, if it comes back as the Lady of the Lake, or if it comes back as the Succubus, that snail is just the biggest toolbox minion in water at the moment, and I really love it. We're moving on to failed mutations. So 2 failed mutations in that list because this is a bit underrated. I think a lot of people don't see a big wall of text on that card, and then they don't think it's really that strong, but it is really that strong. It can't be targeted. The damage by magic is huge, and it's a 4 power minion as well, so cross that 3 power threshold, so it won't be infected by you know, fireballs or magic missiles and spells like this, direct damage. Really like that card as well. Next up, we have Mimic. So I'm only running one Mimic. I was running a couple in that list before, but I find that being a 4 cost minion and only 2 power with a really strong effect, don't get me wrong, but if your opponent doesn't have any artifact that you can, you know, transform your Mimic in, and you have that sitting in your hand for a couple of turns, this is a feel bad card. The effect is really good, but you don't want to have it sitting in your hands for too long or draw it too early. So that's why there's only one copy of this. We also have Ruler of Thule. So Ruler of Thule is a staple at this point in water. It's a 4 cost minion, 2 water threshold, 3 power, unique, and has charge. It reads, allies can move as if the top and bottom edges of the realm were connected. Other allies occupying this site have +1 power. So it's good to build your back row and then go in for a surprise attack. It can be with, you know, some frogs, summon with Plague of Frogs, or just, you know, random minion that you have building on your back row, and then go in for an explosive burst of damage. We have 2 Sacred Stags as well, so that's a new minion coming out of Gothic. Elite Beast has Ward, cost 4, has 4 power, and has Deathrite ability that says you may ward this site. The Deathrite ability is a little less relevant because most often you'll find that minion is on your opponent's side, so you don't really want to, you know, ward your opponent's side. But a 4 for 4 with ward is great, you know, like it can take one instance of damage in the face. That's not a problem, and still stick around. Really like that card as well. Moving on to Archangel Raffle. So Raffle is a 5 cost minion with 4 water threshold, and it has 4 power. It has airborne and ward, and its Genesis ability reads, strike a ward a nearby avatar. Ideally, you want to try to ward your avatar itself. It gives you one more layer of protection on your Ironclad. The fact that it has ward itself and airborne is also very strong. It's been doing a lot of work in that deck so far, so I thought it was a bit too underpowered, even though just in terms of power itself, not keywords, but it's really doing some work, so it stays in the list. We also have 2 Glomtoads. So Glomtoads are the Sludge Butcher of water. They are really similar than Parch Butcher in Earth. They're immobile. They have 6 power, so it's 1 more than Parch Butcher. They cost 5. And when you tap them, drags in target HSN unit and may strike it when it arrives. So it's not a projectile, and it has to be adjacent for it to work, like minions has to be adjacent. But it's strong as well. It doesn't target solely enemy minions. It can be yours as well because it says unit. It can also be your avatar if you need it to be. And it may strike it, so you don't have to, you know, get some damage in. It's a may. Now, like these toads, they're good for force movement as well. Being a 6 power minion is huge because you get 1 instance of damage and you really do some damage. Really strong. Moving on to Lacuna Entity. So 2 Lacuna Entity in this list as well. 5 cost, 3 threshold, 4 power. They have Submerge and Void Walk. So Void Walk in Gothic is a really strong keyword. Genesis is drag target weaker minion from an adjacent site to here, ignoring region. So in Sorcery, you cannot target something that is not in the same region as you are. So if you're in the void, and then with, you know, a minion, and then you try to swap it with a minion like your opponent minion that is not in the void, you're not able to. But if Lacuna Entity comes in the void, it'll be able to target a minion that is not in the void and then bring it in the void, effectively banishing it. So this is really strong. If you bring that back with the snail, you can surprise banish one of your opponent minion as well. I really like that card. It's done a lot of work for me. and that's why I'm running 2 of those. Moving on to one of the bomb in this list, Lilith. So Lilith is a 5 cost minion, 3 threshold, 3 power, unique, and it reads at the end of your turn, reveal opponent's top spell. If it's a minion, summon it here, otherwise put it at the bottom of the deck. So summon in sorcery means for free. Cast has a cost, summon is for free. So you get to not only look at what's on your opponent top deck, you can summon it for yourself, which is huge, but you can also churn through your opponent deck. You know, if it's a draw spell on top of your opponent's deck, well, guess what? It goes back at the bottom. Direct damage as well, like, you know, magic missiles, back at the bottom. It is really strong. Being a 3 power is a bit weak. It dies to bolt. It dies to a lot of direct damage spells. But if you manage to ward it somehow, or, you know, keep it safe with other minion on the square, you know, up the probabilities of lightning bolt and things like this. If you can get it to stick on the board for 2 to 3 turns, you're definitely getting a lot of value out of Lilith. Another crazy card that came out of Gothic is Maiden Mother Crone. So also a 5 cost minion, 3 threshold and 3 power. Unique. Genesis effect says ill 3. Second ability, you can pay 3 to draw a spell. No, you know, limits, so you can do it as much as you want per turn. And the Death Ride ability, opponent lose 3 lives as well. This is a really strong card, albeit a bit weak, 3 power, so it has to be protected somehow. But the fact that you can sink some mana late game and just keep drawing spell like this. Also, the Death Ride ability is relevant because, you know, 3 points of damage in the late game can make a world of difference. Also, the Death Ride ability in the late game can make, you know, a lot of difference because 3 points of damage is huge. Really like that card, and this is why it's shot up to, I think it's about $90 at the moment, which is crazy, or $80 or something like this. We also have a Questing Beast. So Questing Beast is a 5 power minion for 5 cost, lethal and stealth. At the end of your turn, Questing Beast may take a step. That extra step is great. You can get closer from your opponent's avatar if, you know, he's at death's door and try to play tag. Extra movement is always good, you know, in late game, because you get to close distance with, you know, avatar or minions which is in between you and winning the game. And the stealth as well is really strong. We also have 2 Lords of Lies, so that's a minion that came out of Gothic. 6 for 6, so 6 cost for 6 power. Once on your turn, you may have 2 target units at a nearby location fight, so it can be the Lord of Lies itself. So straight up when it comes in, it can have an effect, you know, it's not like a dead minion that you drop. It doesn't have to be it can be 2 opponent minion, it can be one of your minion, you know, it's really great in that sense because it doesn't have to target your minions, and being a 6 power is huge too because it'll stick around for a while. We also have 1 Seraphim. So Seraphim is a 6 cost minion for 4. It has airborne and ward, and it reads at the end of your turn you may transfer a nearby ward onto a nearby minion or site. So this is great if you want to protect your bombs, you know, like Maiden Mother Crone or Lilith, or even Raphael if he lost his ward somehow. Warding a site, I haven't found that really strong in that list. I know in Savior it's better because you can transfer from site to minions with certain cards and all, but it's less relevant in this situation, in this list, because you really want to have it on one of your value minions such as Lilith or the Maiden Mother Crone. And we also have 1 Green Knight. So Green Knight is the best minion in this list, period. It just comes in and then put the threat already. If it's not removed, you're gonna get rid of 1, possibly 2, possibly more minions on your opponent's side. It it's a removal magnet, obviously, but because you have two snails there, you can bring him back once because it'll be banished once you bring it back. But it's such a great card, you know. Having it strike target nearby enemy when it dies is pretty good as well. It can makes you finish a big minion that was forced to attack. It's really good, you know, in any water deck now. It's really good. It's played in any water list at the moment. The 6 cost is not really prohibitive anymore because, you know, you build your board in that list. You build your board knowing that you have a lot of 5 cost minion and 6, so you just ramp early and then you get to 6 in no time basically. Alright, moving on to the magics now. So we start with Plague of Frog. Plague of Frog is a staple in water. The fact that you can summon the frogs on different squares in the realm is busted. Realistically, it's probably too strong even. It gives you blockers where you need them. You can turn them into, you know, 1 power minion if you have a Ruler of Thule somewhere. Could be already on your opponent's side of the board. Yeah, Plague of Frogs, play Plague of Frogs. We also have 3 Gifted the Frog. So Gifted the Frog is part of a new cycle in Gothic that makes you draw a spell plus an effect. This effect just makes you summon a frog token into an allied minion. This is not a condition to draw your spell, so you can play the card, not summon the frog token, but still draw the card, which is good. Card draw obviously is really strong in Sorcery, in any TCG. We also have 2 polymorphs. So polymorph reads transform target nearby minion into a frog token. So really strong. Being nearby is a bit of a restriction, it's true, but you can turn one of your opponent threat into a frog token, and that's priceless. 1 return to nature. So return to nature reads return up to 3 cards from a cemetery to the bottom of their decks, draw a spell. Same cost as Gifted the Frog, so for 2 you get to draw a card, and that effect is pretty good too because you can bring back some of your dead card back in your deck, but you can also empty your opponent's cemetery if he plans to recur somehow, you know, playing Deathspeaker or because he plays snails and things like this. So only 1 copy because we already have 3 copies of Gifted the Frog. That gives us the card draw. We also have 1 Monster Morphosis. So it's an exceptional magic that costs 3 and it reads disable target nearby minion until your next turn. At the start of that turn you may transform it into a monster from your hand or a horrible hybrid from a collection. Most of the time you will turn that monster into an horrible hybrid if you choose to disable your opponent's minion. If you choose to disable yours, you can disable one of the frog token you made with Plague of Frog, and you can turn it into a Grey Knight, or, you know, if you have that in hand, or something costly, and then play it a couple of turns earlier than you should. Moving on, we've got 3 copies of Swap. Swap is the best card that came out of Gothic for water. Swap the location of target minion or artifact with another target minion or artifact. Because it targets, it'll remove ward as well. But this is one of the best cards in a long time in Sorcery. You get to steal someone's ring, you get to get your powerful minion up and close in your opponent's side. It's just really strong. If you manage to swap something, you know, in the void, it just kills it instantly as well. It's just so strong. Into the Abyss, so we have 2 copies of that. It's a 4 cost spell, 2 water threshold elite, and it reads submerge target minion or pull it into a void it's adjacent to. So this is a kill switch as well. Cost 4, so a bit on the heavy side, but it's needed in that list because you don't really have much direct damage. You have way to kill, but you don't have, you know, like spells like Firebolt and stuff like this. So that's why we run 2 copies of this. Also run 1 Mesmerism. So Mesmerism is really good. You know, you can basically grab your opponent's minion, and then if it's on tap, you can get some damage straight away. it's good. Being 4 water threshold is not much of an issue anymore. I think it didn't really see much play before Gothic, because you wouldn't be able to play it before a turn 4 or 5 sometimes, but now with sites like Deep Sea, and you get 2 threshold, you could basically play it a turn early. Now you could probably play that onto turn 3. We also have 1 Call of the Sea. So Call of the Sea reads minion adjacent to target water site, steps towards it, then submerge all minions there. It costs 6, so this is more late game spell, but the fact that you can target multiple minion and then save yours, like Coinixies and stuff like that, really makes it good in that list. We also have 2 Wrath of the Sea, so it's similar. Cost 7, flood all sites adjacent to a body of water distance, the same as Call of the Sea. Then submerge all minions and artifacts on water. So it also submerge artifact for 1 more, which is why we run 2 copies of this. And that does it for our spells. Let's go on to the sites now. So we start with 2 Babbling Brooks. So Babbling Brook is a good early game site when you want to keep building your mana pool and then stall, aggro list, with their red cap parries and stuff like this. We have 1 Blessed Well as well. It comes into play with a ward token on it. We have a Croaking Swamp, so you can pay 1 when it comes in to summon a frog token. So it's, you can have a little chump blocker if you need. 3 Deep Sea, so as previously said, 2 threshold on this site is huge. We also have a Dozmerry Pool. So Dozmerry Pool reads 3 water threshold on Genesis. You may submerge an artifact from your hand there. This is good if you want, hide the ring from someone that could potentially play a swap and stuff like this. And then eventually let him play that card and then bring the ring back up and stuff like this. I think I'm going to end up cutting the pool eventually, because this effect hasn't been really relevant so far, so we'll probably look at having something else eventually, possibly a second Elder Rune, I think. So Elder Runes reads sacrifice a minion here, cast a Shoggoth Submerge here from your collection. So sacrifice has to be your own minion, you can't sacrifice your opponent minion, but still Shoggoth is 5 or 6 power, so it's pretty big. It's a good site really. You could sacrifice a frog token and then end up with a 5 or 6 power minion. Pretty huge. We also run a copy of Garden of Eden, so it shuts down Sorcerer, Umphalos as well, and all that sort of stuff. So regarding the Umphalos, because the Umphalos draws a card, I think it's not meant to work with Garden of Eden, but I've played some games where people were happy to not draw 1 more spell because of Garden of Eden. So I think that we'll need to have a bit of clarification on that if it hasn't been done already. We'll also have 1 copy of Gilman House. So Gilman House is 4 water threshold. Transform a minion here into an horrible hybrid from your collection. So it doesn't have to be your own minion. It can be, your opponent's minion, something, above 3 power. Obviously, you want to dumb it down to an horrible hybrid, which is a 3 power minion, no relevant abilities. Pretty good. You can churn as well, like all your frog tokens. You can churn horrible hybrids. If you summon a Plato Frog and stuff like that, it's really good. We have 1 Heirloom Lost. So Heirloom Lost, in paper, the effect is really strong because you can get rid of maybe, your opponent Gilsman's House or Innsman's Dark or Leviathan, anything, any site that has relevant ability. But it hasn't worked for me. I haven't got around to, replace a site so far. Most of the time I drew this site and it ends up being played without, because it doesn't have threshold, it's just rough. So this is probably a site that will be cut eventually as well in the near future. Moving on to Innsmouth Dock. So Innsmouth Dock is unique and it reads, once on your turn you may lure an adjacent minion to step here. So some sort of succubus effect as well, luring minions around. So if you manage to force movement on your opponent's minion and bring it there, you know, it can be, you know, how you manage to destroy it somehow, or bring it closer for your polymorph and stuff like this. So I really like force movement in water. I think it's part of the core identity of water, and this site just adds to it. We have a copy of Island Leviathan. So when you read the card and you see the 8 water threshold, you're like, oh, I'll never get to transform it. But late game, you very well may have, you know, 8 water threshold now that you have 3 Dipsy. This is good now. It wasn't really before, or it was more, you know, something that really happens rarely. But now that you have double threshold sight, it can transform into 8 power min really quickly. I really like that card now. We also have 2 Kelp Caverns. So Genesis, look at your bottom 3 spells. Put 1 on top of your spellbook. So deck manipulation as well, and then you get to put something on the top really strong. Mudslide. So Mudslide is a underrated site. I think it works well in the late game. So if you start with that in your hand, mulligan it straight away. Mudslide reads, Genesis, slide all units at land sites in this column 1 step left or right. So again, force movement. If you want to bring your opponent's minion closer to where you need it to be for a polymorph or for, you know, succubus effect and stuff like this, this is what you want to have. Also, we run 1 copy of Old Mortimer's Den. So Old Mortimer's Den doesn't have threshold, and it reads, when a minion enters here, kill it, then return this site to hand, leaving rubble behind. So part of that force movement package, if you somehow manage to drag one of your opponent's minion on this side, it just kills it instantly, and then you get your sites back in hand. Which could be good as well, because if you play it too close from your side of the board, and then it becomes a bit of a handicap not being able to play minions there. Well, if you kill a minion, it could be one of your frog token as well. It's not necessarily restricted to enemy minions at all. But you get to bring that site back, play another site, and then eventually you can play the den somewhere else later in the game. This is one of my favorite sites that came out of Gothic. We also have 2 copies of Peculiar Port. So 2 water threshold Genesis. It reads, you may cast a horrible hybrids from your collection to this site. A really good early game site. So you want to start your hand with one of those, because you could basically have, you know, a guaranteed minion in turn 3, which is, you know, horrible hybrid. It's not the best minion and things like this, but because in this list you want to get to 6 mana and 5 or 6 threshold as fast as possible. Being able to get a minion on playing a site like this, not with, you know, getting 1 less card in the hand, is what I'm trying to say. It just makes it, you know, it gives you an advantage straight away, really strong. We have 2 Summer Rivers. So look at your next spell. You may put it at the bottom of your spell book. So top deck manipulation, very strong too. We have a copy of Tadpole Pool. So 3 water threshold Genesis, summon 3 submerged frogs here. The fact that it's submerged is a bit of a downside, but generating frog token in this list is important. It's important for your Gilman house. It's important for a whole lot of reason. You have a Ruler of Thule as well. Love Tadpole Pool, really good sites. As previously talked about, we have 3 copies of Thin Ice. So Thin Ice, you want to bring minions onto it and submerge them. We also have 3 Troll Bridges. So Troll Bridge is a site you want to start with in your hand. It's a good barrier to have in front of your avatar. People most often will discard the card, at least early in the game, because they want to, you know, get the points of damage. And the last site we have in this list is Water Grave. So whenever an enemy draws nearby, summon a skeleton token atop that site. So ideally you want to have it somewhere adjacent to a Thin Ice, and have, you know, a skeleton token farm set up like this. I haven't got to play that site yet, so I think on paper it's good, but full disclaimer, I haven't got to play it yet. So I think this is strong, but I haven't really seen it in real life situation. So maybe it's a no, maybe it's a yes. We'll see about this. And that does it for the Ironclad list. So this is a game I'm having a lot of fun with. I've only recently started to play it. I played a couple of league games, which didn't go that well because people in the league are, you know, veterans, and then they know cards and games. Because people in the league are on another level. Basically, they're really strong. They know the game very well. They know interactions. But that being said, I've won a lot of casual games here and there. I think the win rate is around 70%. And altogether, this is a really fun list to play. It's really resilient. There's a lot of card draw, a lot of healing as well. You've got some really powerful minion that has a lot of effects. You can draw with some, heal, or you've got questing beast or the green knight. You know, all these really strong minion put together in the list really makes it shine. I haven't been through the collection, but the collection is only Ouroboros hybrids and Shoggoth. Basically, we don't run any toolbox or silver bullet, so we just have cards that are brought in through sites in the collection. So that does it for this video. If you found any information, or if you like the content, or if you want more deck tech videos like this one, we'll go through most of the new avatars in Gothic. Please comment, like and subscribe. That really helps pushing the videos to other people and then grow the channel as well. Thank you very much, guys. We'll talk soon.